fungus that infects insects, gets inside an ant, for example, travels through its circulatory system to the ant's brain and then floods it with hallucinogens, thus.
Something unusual is happening in the forests of North America. Scientists are watching a fungus that does more than just grow on animals. It can take control of them. When an animal gets infected, it stops acting normal and begins to behave like something else is controlling its body. This is not a movie story. It is real. Researchers are becoming more worried as they see it move into new places and possibly new hosts. If this fungus keeps spreading and changing, what could happen next in nature? Join us in this video as we discuss the details. Scientists are worried about the spreading zombies fungus. Deep in forests across parts of North America, a strange and disturbing event takes place every few years. It begins when billions of cicadas crawl out of the ground after spending most of their lives hidden beneath the soil. These insects wait underground for many years. Some stay there for 13 years. Others remain hidden for 17 years. They feed on tree roots and live quiet lives in darkness. Then, when the conditions are right, they all come out at almost the same time. The sudden appearance of so many cicadas is one of the largest insect events on Earth. Trees become covered with them. Their loud calls fill the air from morning until night. Birds, animals, and other predators rush to feed on them. Yet, there are simply too many cicadas to eat. That is exactly how the insects survive. Even if millions are eaten, millions more remain alive to reproduce. But among these huge crowds of insects, there are some that carry a terrible secret. At first, they look normal. They climb trees. They fly through the air. They make their usual sounds. They search for mates. Nothing appears unusual. Yet inside their bodies, something has already taken control.
Drinking sap and procreating. But if they're unlucky, they could spend those precious days sharing their body with a fungus that eats them from the inside out. The fungus is called Mesospora.
A fungus known as Mesospora has infected them. Scientists believe the infection begins while the cicadas are still underground. The fungus somehow reaches the young insects and stays hidden for years. During that time, it does not seem to harm them. It simply waits. It remains silent while the cicada grows and develops beneath the soil. Then something changes. After the cicadas emerge from the ground and become adults, the fungus suddenly becomes active. It begins growing inside the insect. Slowly, it starts consuming parts of the cicada's body. The damage becomes worse with time. Eventually, a shocking sight appears. The back part of the insect's abdomen begins to break apart. What should be a normal section of the cicada's body is no longer there. Instead, it is replaced by a strange mass of fungal material packed with spores. In many infected cicadas, the reproductive organs are completely gone. The fungus has destroyed them and taken their place. By any normal measure, the insect should no longer be able to function. A large part of its body has been eaten away. Important organs have disappeared. Its chances of survival should be almost zero. Yet, the cicada keeps moving. It continues walking from branch to branch. It continues flying. It continues searching for mates. It continues behaving as if nothing is wrong. For years, scientists struggled to understand how this was possible. How could an insect keep functioning after losing such a large part of its body? Why did it not simply collapse and die? The answer turned out to be stranger than anyone expected. Researchers discovered that the fungus was producing chemicals inside the infected insects. One of those chemicals was cathinone, a stimulant that belongs to the same family as amphetamines. These substances are known for increasing energy and activity. This meant the fungus was doing far more than simply feeding on its host. It was changing the host's behavior. The chemical appeared to help keep infected cicadas active, even while their bodies were falling apart. Instead of becoming weak and slow, they continued moving around. They kept flying. They kept looking for mates. The fungus seemed to be using chemistry as a tool. The more active the cicada remained, the better the fungus's chances of spreading. Scientists later made another surprising discovery. Some infected cicadas also contained psilocybin, a chemical often linked to certain mushrooms. Researchers are still trying to understand exactly why the fungus produces these substances. What is clear is that the fungus has developed one of the most unusual survival methods ever discovered in nature. Instead of attacking its host immediately, it keeps the host moving. Instead of allowing the insect to stop and die, it pushes the insect to continue its normal activities. The cicada becomes something else entirely. How does this strange fungus spread from one cicada to another? And why is its method of infection so shocking? Let's find out. How the fungus spreads, and why scientists are paying close attention. The most frightening part of the story is not that the fungus can eat away parts of a cicada's body. It is not even that the fungus can fill the insect with powerful chemicals and keep it moving after serious damage has already been done. The most remarkable part is how the fungus spreads from one insect to another. Every living thing has one main goal. That goal is to reproduce and pass on its genes. Cicadas are no different. After spending 13 or 17 years underground, they have only a short time above the ground. During those few weeks, almost everything they do is connected to finding a mate. The fungus takes advantage of this behavior. Instead of spreading randomly, it uses the cicada's own mating habits against them. The infected insects continue searching for mates even after much of their bodies have been damaged. They continue making contact with other cicadas. This creates the perfect chance for the fungus to spread. The fungal growth that replaces part of the cicada's abdomen is packed with spores. These tiny spores are the fungus's way of reproducing. Whenever an infected insect comes into contact with another cicada, some of those spores can be transferred. Scientists have observed something even stranger. Healthy male cicadas and female cicadas normally behave differently. Males call out to attract females. Females answer with special movements. These signals help the insects find each other. When some male cicadas become infected, their behavior begins to change. They start performing signals that normally belong to females. Other males see these signals and approach them. The healthy males believe they have found a potential mate. When they make contact, spores from the infected insect can be transferred. The fungus has found a way to turn the cicada's natural behavior into a tool for infection. This method is extremely effective. When billions of cicadas emerge at the same time, they gather in huge numbers across forests and fields. Nearly all of them are focused on mating. They constantly interact with one another. From the fungus's point of view, this is the perfect situation. The more cicadas there are, the easier it becomes for the fungus to spread. Scientists studying large cicada emergencies have found many infected insects mixed among healthy populations. In some places, infected cicadas are easy to spot because the missing end of the abdomen exposes the pale fungal mass growing from inside. These outbreaks have given researchers rare opportunities to learn more about the fungus. Studying periodical cicadas is not easy. Because they spend most of their lives underground, scientists must often wait many years before another emergence takes place. If an important question cannot be answered during one emergence, researchers may have to wait 13 or even 17 years for another chance. That is why every major emergence is valuable. Scientists use these events to collect samples, observe behavior, and search for clues about how the infection works. One of the biggest mysteries is how the fungus infects cicadas in the first place. Researchers believe spores fall onto the ground after infected insects die. These spores may remain in the soil for many years. Some scientists suspect young cicadas become infected early in life. Others think infection may happen closer to the time when the insects prepare to emerge from the ground. The exact answer remains unknown. Another question involves the long-term effect on cicada populations. The fungus infects huge numbers of insects. Millions may become infected during a single emergence. Yet cicadas continue returning in enormous numbers, generation after generation. This suggests that the fungus is not destroying enough individuals to wipe out the population. The cicadas seem able to survive despite losing many members to infection. Researchers are also paying attention to discoveries involving related fungi. Zombie fungi are not limited to cicadas. Different species infect ants, beetles, flies, spiders, moths, and other insects. Many of these fungi manipulate behavior in different ways. Some force insects to climb plants before dying. Others change movement patterns or feeding habits. Recently, scientists discovered new species of zombie fungi infecting hosts that had not previously been known to carry them. This finding raised important questions. Could some fungi be expanding their range? Could they adapt to new hosts over time? Researchers are still investigating these possibilities. Even so, experts continue to stress that there is no evidence these fungi pose a threat to humans. These organisms are highly specialized. They have spent millions of years adapting to specific insect hosts. Human bodies are completely different from insect bodies. Differences in temperature, immune systems, and biology create barriers that these fungi are not equipped to overcome. Still, the real story remains astonishing. It is a reminder that some of the most incredible stories on Earth are not found in horror movies or science fiction books. They are already happening in forests and fields all around us, hidden in the lives of insects that most people never notice. This is not the only fungus that controls insects. So what happens when another type of fungus uses an even stranger way to take over its host? Let's delve deeper. The hidden forest parasite that takes control of insects. Deep on the forest floor, a silent battle is taking place every day. Dead leaves, fallen branches, and dead animals are quickly covered by fungi and slime molds. These organisms work non-stop, breaking down dead material and returning nutrients to the soil. To survive and spread, many fungi release huge numbers of tiny spores into the air. Some can release thousands of spores every second. These spores drift through the forest looking for a place to land. Most will never survive, but if even one lands in the right place, it can begin growing and create a whole new colony. This is how many fungi spread across forests and jungles around the world. But not all fungi live by feeding on dead things. Some have developed a much darker way of surviving. Instead of waiting for something to die, they attack living creatures. One of the most famous examples is a fungus called cordyceps. This fungus does not simply live beside its victim. It enters the body and slowly takes control.
Cordyceps is a fungus, and there are many species, and it turns out that they have a particular species of cordyceps that is specific for a particular arthropod.
The process often begins when a tiny spore lands on an ant. At first, nothing seems unusual. The ant continues moving around with the rest of its colony. It searches for food, follows trails, and performs its normal duties. But the fungus has already begun its work. After entering the ant's body, it starts to grow. Tiny root-like structures spread through the ant's muscles and tissues. Day by day, the fungus grows larger. It slowly takes over more of the ant's body. As the infection spreads, the ant begins acting differently. It no longer behaves exactly like the other ants around it. Scientists believe the fungus releases chemicals that affect the ant's brain. These chemicals change the way the ant thinks and behaves. The infected ant starts following instructions that do not benefit itself. Instead, every action begins helping the fungus. The parasite is now in control. The ant is pushed to leave areas it would normally stay in. It begins moving toward a location chosen by the fungus. This place is not selected by chance. The fungus needs very specific conditions to grow properly. It needs the right amount of moisture in the air. It needs the right amount of light. It needs the right temperature. Somehow, the infected ant is forced to travel to exactly the kind of place the fungus needs. The journey eventually comes to an end. When the ant reaches the correct location, the fungus forces it to perform one final act. The ant bites down tightly onto a leaf, branch, or plant stem. The grip becomes extremely strong. Once the jaws lock into place, the ant can no longer let go. This behavior is often called the death bite. Soon after, the ant dies. But the story is not over. In many ways, it is only the beginning. After the ant dies, the fungus continues growing inside the body. It feeds on the remains of its host and becomes larger and stronger. Over the next few weeks, the parasite develops until it is ready for the next stage of its life cycle. Once mature, the fungus releases a new wave of spores into the air. These spores spread through the surrounding area. Some fall to the ground. Others drift through the forest. Eventually, a few may land on healthy ants. When that happens, the entire process starts again. The new victims become infected. Their bodies are taken over. Their behavior changes. they are guided to the perfect location. They perform the death bite. Then the fungus grows and releases even more spores. This repeating cycle allows cordyceps to spread through ant populations very effectively. In some places, large numbers of ants can become infected. Entire groups may be affected as the fungus continues moving from one victim to the next. The danger does not stop with ants. Cordyceps is not just one fungus. It is a large group containing many different species. Scientists have identified more than 600 species so far. Most are found in tropical forests and jungles where warm temperatures and high humidity help them survive. Different species attack different victims. Some target ants. Others infect different insects and small creatures. Each species has developed its own way of surviving and spreading. Together, they form one of the most unusual groups of parasites found in nature. What makes cordyceps so remarkable is its ability to control behavior. It does not simply attack its host. It changes what the host does before death occurs. The infected animal becomes part of the fungus's plan. Every movement serves the parasite's needs. Hidden among the leaves and shadows of forests around the world, this process continues every day. Most people never see it happen. Yet it remains one of the strangest and most unsettling survival strategies ever discovered in the natural world. If parasites can already change how animals behave in such complex ways, then what deeper systems inside the body allow them to take control without the host even realizing it? Let's learn more. Hidden control inside the body of animals. Scientists studying nature have found many strange living things that can change how animals behave. Some of these living things are very small parasites and fungi. They live inside other animals and use them to survive. Some researchers say these organisms do not always go straight into the brain of their host. Instead, they may spread through other parts of the body like muscles, blood, and soft tissues. From there, they may still be able to change how the animal moves and acts. This idea is still being studied and is not fully proven, so some of it is considered allegedly correct by scientists. In simple words, the parasite may not need to touch the brain directly to control the body. It may just control the body parts that help movement. Because of this, the animal may still be alive and aware in some way, but it cannot control its own actions. It is like the body is being used by something else while the mind is trapped inside. Scientists believe this is possible because some parasites build small networks inside the host body. These networks are made of tiny tube-like structures. Through these tubes, the parasite can move chemicals and signals inside the body. These signals may go into the muscles and make them move in ways that help the parasite. In this way, the host body becomes like a machine being directed from inside. The animal may walk, climb, or move to places it normally would not go. Researchers are still trying to understand exactly how this works. They use microscopes and computer tools to study infected animals. They have found that the parasite spreads in many parts of the body, but often avoids the brain itself. This is surprising because most people think control must come from the brain. But here it seems the body itself can be controlled without full brain entry. Scientists are still testing this idea, and it is not fully confirmed, so it is also allegedly possible that other unknown factors are involved. Even though the brain may not be directly infected, the body still behaves in strange ways. The muscles may react in wrong directions. The legs may move without normal control. The animal may walk into danger or stay in places that help the parasite grow. This shows that control can happen in more than one way in nature. Scientists believe there is still a lot we do not know. They think more research is needed to fully understand how these parasites guide movement. Every new study brings more questions than answers. This makes the subject both interesting and confusing at the same time. Some researchers also believe that different parasites may use different methods. Not all of them work the same way. Some may use chemicals. Some may use physical structures. Others may combine both methods, but all of them share one goal. That goal is to use the host body to survive and spread. This idea helps explain why infected animals often behave in ways that do not help themselves. Instead, their actions seem to help the parasite complete its life cycle. Scientists continue to study this carefully. They are trying to map how signals move inside infected bodies. They are also trying to see how muscles respond to those signals. The hope is to understand how such small organisms can have such big control over larger animals. For now, many parts of this process are still unclear and are described only as possible or allegedly true until more proof is found. The study of these organisms is still growing, and each discovery adds more detail to this strange hidden world of biological control. This is why scientists say we are only beginning to understand how deep and complex these parasitic systems really are in living nature. It is a slow process of learning, with many missing answers still left to find. If these hidden parasites can control insects and even affect how mammals behave, then what other animals are at risk? Stay tuned for more. Parasites in other animals, including humans and their possible effects. Scientists have also found that behavior-changing parasites are not only found in insects. They can also affect many other animals, including mammals. In some cases, worms and other small parasites infect animals like snails and change how they behave. These infected snails may move into open areas where they are more likely to be seen and eaten by birds. This is important for the parasite because it needs to enter the bird's body to complete its life cycle. So the snail's behavior is changed in a way that helps the parasite survive. There are also parasitic wasps that attack cockroaches. The wasp uses venom that affects the cockroach's nervous system. After being attacked, the cockroach may lose normal control of its body. It can still move, but not in a normal way. The wasp may then guide the cockroach into its nest, where it becomes food for the wasp's young. These examples show that parasites can control behavior in different ways across different animals. In mammals, one of the most studied parasites is called Toxoplasma gondii. This parasite can infect warm-blooded animals like mice, cats, and even humans. In mice, it changes their natural fear of cats. Normally, mice are very afraid of the smell of cats, but when infected, this fear may be reduced. The mice may even go near areas that smell like cats. This makes them easier for cats to catch and eat. This helps the parasite move into the cat's body, where it can reproduce. Scientists believe this is a very smart survival method used by the parasite. Humans can also become infected with Toxoplasma gondii. This can happen through eating contaminated food or contact with infected animal waste. Many people may have the parasite in their body without knowing it. In most cases, it stays inactive for a long time. Some people may carry it for years without feeling sick. However, some studies suggest that it may still affect the brain in small ways. Some researchers say it may slow reaction time or slightly change behavior. Others say there may be links to mental health conditions like schizophrenia. But these ideas are still being studied and are not fully proven. So these effects are also considered allegedly possible and not confirmed in every case. Scientists are careful because it is hard to prove direct cause and effect. There may be other reasons for the changes seen in studies. Researchers also believe that this parasite may have evolved long ago in relation to wild cats like leopards. Before humans lived with house cats, early humans may have been exposed to large wild predators. These predators hunted early human ancestors. This may have allowed the parasite to develop its life cycle using these older hunting relationships. Some studies on animals like monkeys and chimpanzees suggest that infected animals may take more risks and show less fear of predator smells. This supports the idea that the parasite can influence behavior in more than one species. If this is true, it means the parasite may have been affecting animals for a very long time in evolutionary history. Overall, scientists believe that parasites like Toxoplasma gondii show how small organisms can influence the behavior of much larger animals. Even though many details are still unclear, researchers agree that more study is needed. The full effects on animals and humans are still not fully understood. For now, many of these findings remain under investigation and are described as possible or allegedly true until stronger proof is available. This makes the study of parasites both important and ongoing, as scientists continue to learn how deeply these tiny organisms may interact with life on Earth. If a fungus can completely take over the body and behavior of a fruit fly, then what exactly is happening inside the insect that allows such total control? Let's take a closer look. What the fruit fly reveals about parasitic mind control in nature. A strange fungus exists in nature that can take control of a small insect like a fruit fly. This fungus begins its life cycle in a very simple way. It starts when a fruit fly lands on old and rotting fruit. While feeding, the fly unknowingly picks up a tiny fungal spore. This spore is so small that it cannot be seen. It quietly attaches to the fly's body and then slowly breaks through the outer skin. At first, nothing seems wrong with the fly. It continues to walk, feed, and move like normal. There are no clear signs that anything is happening inside its body. But inside, the fungus has already started growing. It spreads slowly through the fly's body. It feeds on stored fat and energy inside the insect. As time passes, it spreads deeper and reaches many parts of the body, including areas connected to movement and control. The fly still looks normal on the outside, but inside it is changing completely. After a few days, usually around the 4th or 5th day, changes begin to show. The fly starts acting strange. It becomes restless and cannot stay in one place. It walks around without clear direction. It behaves in ways that are not normal for a healthy fly. Scientists say this is the stage where the fungus starts to influence behavior. The fly then begins to climb upwards. It moves to higher places like leaves or stems. This behavior is not random. It is called summiting.
At dusk on the 4th or 5th day, the fly gets a little erratic, wandering around. It climbs to a high place. Scientists call this behavior summiting.
The fungus seems to push the fly to go higher so that it can spread better later. When the fly reaches a high point, it goes through a final set of actions. It sticks out its mouth and releases a sticky liquid. This liquid works like glue. It makes the fly stick tightly to the surface. Once it is fixed in place, the fly cannot move again. Its wings lift up, and shortly after, it dies. Even after death, the fungus continues its work. It begins to grow out of the fly's body. It breaks through the skin and forms small structures that rise outside the body. These structures are used to release spores into the air. Hundreds of spores are released at the same time. They spread through the wind and fall onto other surfaces. Some may land on new flies and start the cycle again. In some cases, if spores land on parts of the body where they cannot enter easily, the fungus produces extra spores to improve its chances of spreading. This shows how efficient the fungus is at survival. Scientists believe that the fungus may control the fly's behavior using chemicals. These chemicals may affect the fly's nervous system. They may trigger certain actions like climbing or resting in the wrong place. However, the exact way this control works is still not fully known. Researchers are still studying it carefully. They are trying to understand how such a small organism can change the behavior of another living creature so precisely. What is known is that this fungus is very specialized. It only infects insects and does not affect humans. It has evolved over a long time to survive only inside insect bodies. Because of this, it cannot normally infect people. Scientists have even tried to use similar fungi to control harmful insects in farms and homes. The idea is to use nature to fight pests. But these attempts have not worked very well so far. The fungus only does what it needs to survive. It does not act with intention or emotion. It simply follows a life cycle that depends on infecting, controlling, and reproducing through its host. This process shows how complex nature can be. A tiny spore, invisible to the eye, can enter a living insect and slowly take over its body. It can change behavior, control movement, and eventually use the body to spread more spores. The fly becomes part of the fungus's life cycle without any awareness. This cycle continues again and again in nature. It is a reminder that even the smallest living things can have powerful effects on other creatures when survival is at stake. Scientists continue to study this fungus to better understand how it works and what it can teach about biology, behavior, and life in general. What do you think about the zombie virus? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for following this journey into the strange world of parasitic fungi. If it changed the way you see nature, don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video to explore more stories. See you there.